Welcome to this presentation, which has been designed for employers to give an employer perspective of ADHD and how you can support your employees that may have been diagnosed recently with ADHD. Due to the Mental Health Act, there is a responsibility for employers to be able to provide employees with the right support for to enable them to do their job, whether they work from home or whether they work in the office. So we're going to go through some of the considerations and obligations as an employer that you have, and also to really make you understand what adult ADHD is, so you'll understand what kind of issues that some of your employees may be facing as day-to-day struggles. But also to point out the positives associated with ADHD, because it comes with many superpowers, and those can be essential for the success of any business. So my name is Sue Hart. I'm the founder of CelebratingADHD.com. And the reason that I set this up was really because there was no support available for adult ADHD at the time when I received the diagnosis. So we hear about it for children, but we don't necessarily understand it for adults. So I'm 47, got the diagnosis quite late. But throughout my career, I've had a very successful career, but I've also had some challenges within that career, which has, and I guess looking back, you can connect the dots and you can see how I wasn't aware of why I was doing what I was doing, and definitely not getting the support from my employers, because I didn't know and they didn't know what it was. So I think there's still a lot of mystique around it, and it's only coming out now due to the coronavirus pandemic. A lot of people have had to face these issues, and the ADHD diagnosis is on the rise to get some understanding about why we do what we do and what's causing the suffering. So I've worked in large organizations, and from PricewaterhouseCoopers to small startup technologies.com, all sorts of different size organizations. So I understand enough about human resources and what issues you may be facing within your organization, and what your responsibilities are. So we're going to go through a little bit about understanding what ADHD is and an understanding of what the holistic approach is, because unfortunately, especially within the UK, the medical industry, the medical profession really is still stuck at looking at medication, traditional medication, rather than looking at the holistic approach. It's a lot better than what it was, because we are starting to accept complementary therapies and things like that, but we're still a long way off from actually looking at the individual as a whole and having the resources available to provide the support as a whole. So let's go through also the benefits of having ADHD employees and how to support them going forward. So you may have employees that are already diagnosed, that you're sort of helping, supporting, and you may not know what to do. So it's possible that you can get help. I can offer some coaching for employers that are facing those issues and look at how we can overcome the hurdles involved. So let's look at understanding what ADHD is and the holistic approach. So we start with the facts. Okay, it is a neurological disorder, and yes, it does exist. The research is still ongoing because it's in its early days. If we look at the actual research and the timeline of it, it goes back to sort of the 1960s, but really it's still very in its infancy in terms of understanding what causes it and how we can treat it. What happens is it affects the executive functions. Now, the executive functions are mainly in the prefrontal cortex, at the front side of the brain, and they are impaired. So this is what we use to make decisions. It's what we use for memory. It's what we use for problem solving. So those are impaired, okay? And that produces some symptoms. And the three symptoms are inattention, the inability to focus, hyperactive. So that can be getting up, walking around physically, and it can also be restlessness in the mind as well, having lots of thoughts, and impulsivity, meaning that we get these thoughts and we have to act on things straight away. So they're impulsive decisions, not necessarily thought out. What's actually going on is a chemical imbalance in the brain. And that's what needs to be addressed. And it can be addressed by traditional medication. However, depending on the person and what issues they have going on in their body, it depends whether they can take that medication or not. So let's say that you are able to take the traditional medication. It doesn't work on its own. So this is why a holistic approach is required. It's possible to change the neurons on the brain. So the neurons are firing on certain things in the way that we do things. It's possible to change those, but it takes time and it needs a different approach to be able to do that. The first thing is about understanding what needs to be changed. And that's where the mindfulness comes in, to raise awareness of the behaviors that are not working for the individual. Now, the final thing is there's no such thing as a perfect or normal brain. There is a term called neurotypical, but we don't know actually what that is. What is normal? What is neurotypical? So again, you know, it's really lacking the definition of those terms. So let's get to the facts. You know, about 1.5 million adults in the UK have the condition, but only 120,000 are formally diagnosed. So there's a huge gap at the moment between adults out there with ADHD suffering from these symptoms and adults actually diagnosed. And the reason for this is because it has been taking such a long time on the NHS to get a diagnosis. So sometimes up to 7 years. And people just give up. Or they'll go privately, but to go privately, it's going to cost money. And you've really got to be desperate to get that diagnosis, because you've got to pay for something that you don't know what it is, and it's basically putting a label on yourself, and you could interpret it as that you're not good enough. So the motivation to get that diagnosis is not there. The vision for celebrating ADHD is really to raise awareness, on what adult ADHD is and how we have the ability, each one of us has the ability to work with ourselves and do the work ourselves to free ourselves from those destructive behaviors and live a better life. So we can expand our mind. We can work on this. We can celebrate and we can empower everyone who has been diagnosed with ADHD or ADD through providing an accessible, affordable, transformational course online, globally. We have that ability and it is there. The course is there, ready to do. And I suggest that you, as professionals, do the course to understand what things are coming up for those individuals with ADHD. And you may yourself actually be experiencing the same. So no one is immune to this. It can be prevalent. It's on a spectrum. It can be here, it can be here. It affects people in different ways. It might come out more in relationships. It might come out more in self-regulation of emotions. It might come out more in restlessness, hyperactivity. It's bespoke to each individual, and it's also dependent on the holistic approach. So it's what's going on in the environment as well. You know, what job are they actually doing? Are they doing a job that they really enjoy? Because you need to be motivated. You need to have that interest to be able to get things done. So the boring tasks, what you'll find is with your employees, the boring tasks won't get done, but they're quite capable of doing something that is very difficult and they can hyper focus on it. So that's what you've got to really understand in terms of getting to the root cause of what's causing the issue that's, the problems that are arising, and maybe changing their role slightly or going in a different route. Just help them to where they want to go, because it's going to be better for you and it's going to be better for them in terms of financial cost and also for their wellness. So let's understand the benefits of having ADHD employees. So we can see on the left, there's these superpowers, and they really are superpowers. And depending on what your organization does, it will rely on these people. It will rely on creativity. It will rely on intuition. And that is what we are able to offer. We're highly intelligent individuals. So we have this creativity thinking. You can see it right now. This is why I've come up with this, because I'm passionate about it and the creativity has come out. The second thing is hyperfocus. So it results in timely, quality work. It does, because we don't understand time. We have a different relationship with time. So we will just focus on something. If we need to get it done, we will get it done all the way through. So if you're pitching, let's say you're an ad agency and you've got a client pitch coming up, then the pressure will be on and we will do it till it gets done. Also have a calm attitude during emergencies. So if you're an employer of emergency services, ambulances, fire services, or doctors within the NHS, and a lot of doctors have been diagnosed with ADHD, you're going to be extra calm during emergencies, because you are in the moment, you're in the now, and you're dealing with it. Intuitiveness, you notice things that other people don't. Initiative, you get stuff done. You have lots of ideas, and this is where the challenging bit is, because without having the focus, you don't know which idea to focus on, but you've got these ideas, these creative ideas come in, and that leads to creative problem solving. We have the courage, risks are taken. One thing to be careful of, though, is that then we may not evaluate all the risks before taking a decision. The ability to see patterns where other people see only chaos. Now, this is just transformational. Now, a lot of my clients will say that they work for organizations and they can see a system and they want to make it better. And they do. This is priceless. And it would save you thousands and thousands of pounds to get consultants in to remodel a system when you've got your employees there that can do it for you. They just need to be motivated and guided. The ability to talk about things at once, yeah, can create a bit of a chaotic environment and can cause issues within meetings, let's say, but it needs to be managed. You need to be aware of it, but the multitasking basically is a superpower because you can do a few things at once, but be aware that sometimes the attention to detail is not there. We have a limitless capacity to learn. We love learning. So yeah, we're open to all your training programs, but please understand that a product or time management course isn't going to do it. I've been on many time management courses, but I still failed to apply those to my day-to-day working life. There's other things that are at the root cause of those time management issues, and working with a coach, you can find out what they are. Empathy. We have the ability to put ourselves in other people's shoes, which is another great skill. If you're running a counselling company, for example, your counsellors will be empathetic. However, you've got to think about their wellness. Do they take on the feelings of their patients and their clients? Does it weigh them down? What outlet do they have? Entrepreneurship, yeah, great one to cultivate within a small organization. You need people like this working for you. Encourage it, empower it. The capacity to see things from different angles and resourcefulness. So again, that is another similar to seeing the patterns in the system. But it's great to have some people like that within an organization because you're able to come up with a good problem solving skill and also brainstorming and things like that. Perfect for ad agency. I want you to get present to the fact that there are many famous people that you know that actually have ADHD. And without them present, our world will be a dark place. Without Steven Spielberg, what films would we have? You know, we've got gold medalists there that have the dedication. We've got born leaders. We've got comedians. We're not sure about Albert Einstein because it was way back there, but he's highly intelligent and it could be possible that he had ADHD. So when someone comes to you with a diagnosis of ADHD and they're feeling rejected, they're feeling down, feeling not good enough, remind them that there are some famous people and highly successful people that have ADHD and they've managed to harness their superpowers to their advantage. So just take a moment now. I want you to think about how these superpowers could benefit your organization that you work for. And then share them with others. Let other people know about it. Start your own internal PR campaign about it so people don't feel that they have to wipe it under the carpet. They're able to come to you and be proud to say that they have ADHD. So how can you support your employees with ADHD? I think the first thing is to do what you're doing now, is spending the time for you to understand it and be able to be approachable to discuss it. That's the first thing, because once you're aware of it, you're able to do something about it. So you can also look into it and understand what your responsibilities are with regards to the Mental Health at Work Act. You can ensure that confidentiality is maintained. Can't stress this enough. Make it safe for them to share what it's like for them, what they're struggling with. Create a safe space within the workplace so they can't be overheard. Apply compassion and empathy. Be aware of the language you use, as ADHD are very sensitive. So you could say something and they could take it to mean something completely different and feel rejected. Rejection, sensitive dysphoria is present in most ADHD cases. And it's where we really feel those emotions of rejection 10 times more than someone without ADHD. So it can just really affect us, and just be aware of that. So the language we use is extremely powerful. It is the frame through which we perceive and describe ourselves and our picture of the world. So I can't stress this enough. Really get present to the words that you're using within each meeting. So what else can you do? You can support the holistic approach. As the medication doesn't work on its own. So you can basically encourage breaks to be taken throughout the day. Make sure that they're, eating properly, sleeping properly, provide assistance. You can assist the organisation with organisation and time management, but know that a time management course is not going to do it. You can offer coaching support based on 50% funded basis. So this is a key point, actually, because if they invest some money themselves, they would attach more value to it. So really get present to that. It's important that the coaching is client-led and that they have a vested interest in it. I've had clients where their parents have paid and it's not as successful as if the client came direct. You can also look into access to work and sign up as an employer to get funds to fund it. You can understand what ADHD is and the key symptoms, so then you can just reframe your own perceptions of it and not have that perception in the wider view on mental health issues. Also get present to the ADHD effect on relationships, because you will have a relationship with that person and there is certain dynamics that take place within ADHD relationships. There's a separate module on that and the course, so you could understand it from there. Support them with flexible working hours. Support them with flexible working hours and standing up workstations for those that find it uncomfortable sitting down. You can encourage mindfulness training to calm the mind and reduce anxiety. Again, you could provide coaching on this, because just providing access to Headspace is not enough. The apps are great, but there's no support. And with mindfulness training, it's important to provide support, because if you don't understand what you're doing, you're not actually going to benefit from it. It's not just an escapism of reality to just sit and meditate. You're actually sitting with your mind, and it takes courage, and it's not going to be pleasant all the time. So really get present to this, what ADHD is. There's experts out there, Dr. Russell Barkley, the leading scientist in the field. And he says it's not the what and how, it is the when and where. It is an intention disorder. So again, you can get present to this and make modifications in the workplace. If you know it's about an intention, so if you forget where you're going, then have a vision board. provide them support on how to have a vision board for their goals within the workplace, so they keep their eye on the ball. So what further can you do? You can run an internal marketing campaign on the benefits of ADHD and what you're doing to support them within your organisation. You could bring to life those famous people as part of that campaign. You can be open and approachable, and you can offer a self-diagnosis test anonymously. So on your intranet, just not sure if you've got ADHD, click here just to find out. So you can give them the support and resources. You can give them access to the holistic hub from Celebrating ADHD on your site. So they can get that for free and they can see what it's all about. You can provide funding for an initial coaching session with myself or another coaching provider. You can understand the change process and provide support, because change doesn't happen overnight. It's an ongoing process. It's going to take time to change these behaviours. And there's certain defence mechanisms that stand in the way of that individual changing and growing. And it's important that you understand that. So here's the stages of change, what happens, with the pre-contemplation, with the contemplation, preparation, then you do the action, maintenance of it, and then you have a relapse. Apply it to losing weight. You need to eat more healthily, you contemplate on it, then you do it, you prepare, you read about it, and then you do it, you go on the diet, and then you have to maintain that diet, but then you might have a relapse. You see McDonald's and you go and have a burger. And it's a cycle, goes round and round. Same with any behavioural change. So next steps. I would suggest get coaching for your HR team on how to address this within your organisation. And get the things in place. You're going to be a more responsible employer. You're going to be a better employer. People want to work for you, which will attract those individuals that have those superpowers that will make your organisation thrive. So it's a win-win all round. So if you have any questions, please get in touch. I'm happy to answer emails, happy to have a coaching session. Just get in touch and let's see how we can work together to celebrate ADHD within your organisation.